Finally, the epic showdown against the main villain of this season, Absolute Doom, has taken place, and it was absolutely insane. But guess what? Reality Zero, or maybe even back in his own universe. But don't get too comfortable. What does this mean for our heroes going forward? And could Doom still make a comeback with Mephisto by his side? There's definitely a lot to unpack here, and the story is far from finished. But first, like this video and use code PUNKED in the item shop. It would mean the world to me. However, it wasn't an easy battle. Doom was after something much bigger. He was clearly using Pandora's box to siphon power from all over the island, attempting to seize control of the Zero Point itself. If you caught the live event, you know that the heroes stood their ground. They cleverly used Stark's rift beacons against Doom, trapping him in what appeared to be a massive fracture. Whether he's stuck in the underworld or sent back to his own universe remains uncertain. But one thing is clear, this isn't the last we'll see of Dr. Doom. With Mephisto lurking in the shadows, there's a strong possibility that Doom could return with even greater power. To connect all the dots, we need to take a step back, all the way back to the Fortnite X Marvel Zero War comics. A lot of what unfolded in the live event didn't just happen out of the blue. It's all part of a much larger narrative that Epic has been weaving through both the game and these comics. If you really want to grasp where we're headed next, it all begins there. Alright, if you've already checked out my breakdown of the first issue of the comics, feel free to skip ahead using the timestamp right here on the screen to jump to the second issue. If you're new to the story, stick around. I'm going to catch you up on all the action you missed. Now, to set the stage, the events of the comic take place during China in a bar, where Wolverine is sitting peacefully, sipping a beer. Suddenly, Spider-Man and Jonesy appear, flanking him from both sides. Wolverine, being Wolverine, doesn't like this, and is ready to throw them out when Mirage walks in, immediately catching Logan's eye.
What are you staring at, shorty, dark, and hairy?
Trying to figure a reason why I might listen to the Spider-Man.
After a brief introduction of the heroes, Spider-Man turns to Logan.
You might have heard about the sudden disappearance of a chunk of Manhattan, along with me and the Daily Bugle, right?
You find yourself a black costume again?
Not this time. Instead, we found ourselves on an island in another universe, a place that's the origin of all reality, called the Imagined Order. They've been doing terrible things, like abducting people from different realities to force them into endless battles. At one point, they even abducted several key figures, including Thor, Iron Man, and yes, you, Wolverine. And no, I'm not mad I didn't make that list. Things have gotten a lot worse. The IO is planning to hit the reset button on the entire island, to wipe out everything and start over. The only thing standing in their way is the Seven, although technically there are only 6 of them at the moment, but that's a whole different story. This red-haired friend of ours is one of the 7. Their leader is a huge armored guy named the Foundation. Imagine Tony Stark mixed with Nick Fury, but with Hulk's body. Besides Jones, the Seven's army is made up of what we call loopers, people who were abducted from other realities. The 7 have been freeing them from the endless loop of battles I mentioned. If you die in the loop, you come back to life, only to fight again. But outside the loop, it's worse. It's like an eternity of endless bloodshed.
Oh no, fish stick, why you?
It's not fish stick, it's a snapshot. One of the duplicates the island makes of people in the loop.
Wait, really? Oh, thank the sacred triangle.
Then the Foundation tells Jonesy that even if they destroy the outpost, it doesn't mean anything, because the Imagined Order can bring people from different realities.
Even if we destroy the outpost, it doesn't mean anything. The Imagined Order can bring people from different realities.
The Imagined Order has been working on a doomsday device, and the Seven need something powerful enough to turn the tide of the battle. Paradigm built a mecha, a massive robot. But we need to reach it. Paradigm is a missing member of the Seven. It's a touchy subject.
Moon orbiting the island. The moon is covered in ice and has an extremely hostile
The Foundation says,
We need to get to the moon and repair the mecha.
Well, it's not going to be easy. The cold there can destroy even our armor, and the weather conditions could tear apart any ship we send.
Spidey comes in.
Hey, great plan. Loving all the likely to die stuff. But let's put a pin in it for a sec. If I can get back to my world, I can recruit a whole army of tough customers. Some of them have even been here before. But they were just the tip of the iceberg. We've got a
Order's portal device, but it only has 2 charges left. The scientist confirms, each charge can teleport an unlimited number of people back to the island. Spider-Man interjects, to get Spider-Man home, they need access to the Zero Point, which is currently at the heart of the Imagined Order's base center. They decide that the Foundation will help Spider-Man and Jonesy sneak into the Zero Point in stealth mode, and once they make contact, they'll teleport Spider-Man and others back to their reality. As they're planning, the scientist asks Spider-Man to do one more thing: recover a fragment of the Zero Point that Galactus nearly consumed during the battle back in Chapter 2, Season 4. Galactus tried to devour the Zero Point, but he was sent back to his reality before he could finish the job. A fragment of the Zero Point was left behind. The team sneaks into the Imagined Order's base through the sewers, wearing disguises provided by the Seven. Once inside, they come across some IO soldiers dumping waste into a river. Naturally, they take down those soldiers and continue their infiltration. As they move deeper into the base, they notice that some of the structure is still upside down after the island flip from Chapter 3, Season 1. Jonesy, a former IO agent, knows the layout of the base better than anyone, so it doesn't take him long to find a secret emergency door that leads to the Zero Point chamber.
No, don't worry. Everything's going according to plan.
Jones reassures the team.
This emergency door leads directly to what we need.
When they reach Jonesy's old office, he pauses for a moment, seeing a photo he never managed to grab when he escaped the IO. To not spoil everyone what's on the picture, let's leave that secret for the next video. Moving further and further, they finally find what they made this long journey for, the Zero Point. Curious as ever, Spider-Man tries to touch it, but the Foundation immediately pulls him back, warning him,
If you touch it before Jones properly deactivates it, it could disintegrate you into atoms and send you flying across the multiverse.
We've seen something similar in the Batman x Fortnite comic, when the Zero Point wasn't calibrated. Then the character jumped into it but immediately shattered into hundreds of thousands of particles. Just as the team is figuring out how to stabilize the Zero Point, they're ambushed by Imagined Order agents, Dr. Sloan and Gunner, and Sloan manages to shoot the Foundation in the back. It turns out the IO was one step ahead of them. The path they used through Jonesy's office was a trap. Sloan smugly admits that the moment they opened the secret door, she knew exactly where they were headed. In a dramatic turn, Gunner tries to throw the heroes into the Zero Point. At this moment, Jonesy looks up and shouts,
I promised you Gino. There he is.
Foundation says,
That's not Gino. I knocked this guy out when I saved you from this place. You think Gino would go down so easily?
Not Gino. So all those times I thought I was meeting with the big boss?
You think Gino has time to waste on the likes of you, Jones?
While Foundation confronts Gunner, Jonesy continues recalibrating the Zero Point, but time is running out.
Just give me one more minute.
Jonesy pleads, but Spider-Man knows they don't have it.
Go, go, go! I've got to figure out how to make sure they don't follow us.
In a final desperate move, Spider-Man uses his web shooters to lock the Zero Point onto Reality 616 and jumps into it with Jonesy. Mirage follows close behind. Sloan shouts after them,
Damn it, Jones! You are extra fired!
Meanwhile, Gunner sends the Foundation flying through the ceiling, but they both know that no simple punch could defeat the leader of the Seven. Somewhere in another reality, the team finds themselves on Earth 616, the Marvel Comics universe. Spider-Man reassures everyone that they'll figure things out, but before they can do much, Mirage gets into a fight with Captain Marvel, which Spider-Man has to defuse. Spidey explains to Captain Marvel that they need the help of every Avenger they can muster, because this is a crisis of universal proportions. A little later, they arrive at the Avengers base, built from the body of a dead Celestial. Spider-Man steps in, asking for heroes to join him on a Reality Zero mission.
Anyone who's been there before is one step ahead. So, Thor, Storm, Iron Man, you're all at the top of my list. Like I said, I'm staying. But everyone who's going, gather to the left. Squeeze together, like for a class photo. I'll zap you to Reality Zero.
While Spidey was hosting a superhero meeting, Iron Man took the opportunity to compile a list of heroes who would venture to Reality Zero. Now our team has one more crucial task ahead of us.
My onboard systems have tracked its general arrival point within a radius of 100 of your miles. But there's some background interference in the area. Are either of you an experienced tracker?
Not without a spider tracer, but I do know someone who is.
Spider-Man is referring to Wolverine and explained that it was Storm who helped them find him.
All makes sense now, right?
Dude, I couldn't even follow it, and I was there. Listen, Mr. Wolverine, he told it wrong. Allow me. To really understand this, we have to go back to the beginning of full creation.
Then Mirage approaches Logan and says that this will be the best fight of his life, and he immediately agrees.
Really? That was all I had to say?
The two of them head out, ready to recover the 0-point fragment and save not just their reality, but all of them. Somewhere else, all this time, Dr. Doom had been watching our hero's plan unfold.
Fools behaving exactly as expected. I'll take care of this. You don't need to worry, Gino.
Your help is invaluable to us, Dr. Doom. We acknowledge very few, but of all the possible universes, you fit our needs the best. I'm confident you are already a valued addition to the imagined order.
But I won't spoil it for you just yet. The second issue throws us straight into the action within the loop, where our heroes band together to launch a massive attack on the Order's stronghold. However, chaos ensues almost immediately. Iron Man and the Foundation find themselves at odds over who should take charge.
Stand down, Iron Man. I give the orders here. I've been fighting the imagined order for centuries.
Yeah, about that Foundation. Last time we were here, I quarterbacked and things went pretty well, so I say go with a proven winner.
Their argument is cut short by Captain Marvel, who interjects with a sarcastic remark, as both of them clash with their egos.
How did someone as full of themselves as you ever design such impressive armor?
Funny, I was about to say the same thing. Hey, since we at least like each other's armor, I have an idea. I'll be commander of Earth Forces. You be commander of Island Forces, co-leaders, and we share armor tips, cool?
Sure, but my title's Commander of Reality Zero Forces.
While Iron Man and the Foundation were engaged in a friendly conversation and shaking hands, Captain Marvel successfully commandeered an Order's space shuttle and destroyed their outpost. Iron Man.
Almost forgot, only I get to say, Avengers Assemble.
One escape later. Once they arrived, the Seven and the other Resistance fighters started brainstorming ways to tackle the harsh conditions of the frozen moon, and then locate the mecha. Iron Man and Foundation embark on a cosmic expedition alongside the Scientist, Thor, and Storm. Since the Scientist is the only one who can repair the mecha, managing the atmosphere on the frozen moon will be impossible without the Weather Masters. On the island, the remaining heroes fall under the command of Captain Marvel.
Our job is to make sure the IO doesn't follow them to the frozen moon. And here they come, so... Avengers assemble.
On board the ship, the Foundation keeps messing with Iron Man. The Foundation.
I thought only you got to say it.
Her, I'm kinda scared of. So, Scientist, I'm hoping your name's not ironic. You sure you can get this giant mech running?
The Scientist.
If we can find it. Absolutely. And if we recover Paradigm's body from the wreckage, her armor's database will help a lot. The question is whether I can repair the mecha in time.
At the borders of Wakanda, our group of heroes comes face to face with Wakanda's defense system, enormous robotic panthers.
Wolverine! I thought you said they knew you here.
Knowing me and liking me are different things.
While Mirage and Logan fight off the robotic panthers, Spider-Man, being the friendly neighborhood hero, steps in to save the mech pilots from an enraged Wolverine, redirecting Jonesy's grenade launcher straight at him.
Dude, sorry?
That's your idea of ruining his aim?
Hey, Jones is a crack shot. He could hit you in the face. Besides, you'll heal in what? 10 minutes?
It still hurts.
As our heroes contemplate their strategy for the next wave of panther robots, Shuri, the Wakandan princess, emerges on the hill. She instructs everyone except Spidey and Wolverine to leave Wakanda, as they are the only ones deemed true friends of the royal family. Logan adeptly eases the tension in the air.
I'll vouch for them. I'll explain everything in words that make sense even. But seriously, can we chat somewhere that bugs aren't buzzing around and trying to eat my pancreas?
Shuri.
Hard to argue with that. Come with me, and welcome to Wakanda.
Menengai, Wakanda. One explanation later, Shuri continues questioning our team about where the 0-point shard might be. Mirage mentioned that her armor detected an energy signal from the shard around here, but something is interfering with their ability to pinpoint its exact location. Shuri thinks that vibranium could be causing the interference, a material that, according to legend, comes from somewhere in space.
Any chance I could snag just a tiny little sample?
Dude, no.
On the other hand, just watching it is already a privilege, but our search plan falls apart when Logan says he couldn't smell the 0 point, which means that Shard isn't here anymore, but it was here recently. How did someone manage to break into one of the most secure vaults on Earth? Shuri explains that their sensors don't detect reptiles below a certain size, and since Wakanda is close to Serpent Valley, then the trail of the missing Shard should be there, somewhere in Serpent Valley. As our team discusses dinosaurs and surveys the area, Logan picks up the scent of a nearby broken camp. And he's correct. Out of nowhere, they are attacked by hybrids from Season 8, Chapter 1.
Ninjas? Wolverine, what is it with you and ninjas?
I don't know these guys.
I do. They were running around Reality Zero for a while, but they weren't riding dinosaurs.
Our heroes start a fierce battle with the hybrids. As Shuri takes down another masked foe, she discovers they are lizards underneath, meaning they're the ones responsible for the missing 0 point shard. Since Wakanda's defense systems can't detect lizards, it all makes sense. However, one hybrid manages to escape with the shard.
Half human, half dinosaur. All of this points to my old sparring partner, Stegron, the dinosaur man.
What a ridiculous name, and I say that while I'm hanging out with a guy named Peely.
It all clicks into place now, and it seems we have a clear direction. Dinosaurs, vibranium, there's only one location on Earth that has all of this. Get your bug spray, we're off to the Savage Land.
Reality Zero, Ice Moon. Thor and Storm work together to diminish the thunder surrounding the frozen moon's atmosphere. Storm relays to the rest of the expedition that they can now land on the surface of the satellite, but they won't last long here, even with Thor.
So this is the climate here when it's being nice? No wonder the imagined order never went after the mech.
The Foundation tells the rest of the team that their armor can handle flying in these weather conditions, but they definitely shouldn't stay there for long, so they need to find the mech as soon as possible.
Yeah, about that. Just a hunch, but is that it?
It's intact, more or less. Missing the arm, of course, and there are some hull breaches, but all things considered, it could be worse. The big question is the power core, and I'm not sure where it's located. We'll each search a third of it.
The Foundation cuts off the scientists and quickly calls them over.
I found the paradigm, and she's alive.
That wraps up the first part of our new video comic format. If you enjoyed it and want to see more like this, make sure to leave a like and comment below. As always, this is Punked Side, wishing you an absolutely amazing rest of your day. See you in the next video. Take care.